we are going to make this block. So to make this block, you're going to need rotary cutter, the added quarter, your little glue. If you have a small cutting mat, it's a good idea, so you can put it next to your machine. The templates, these templates for the pieces. And so what I do is I print my paper piecing sheet, and it comes like this in 8 by 11. I put the color that I want, then I make copies with these, so that way I don't have to print so many and I don't have to write this every single time. And I make copies with this paper, the paper piecing paper. Then I trim them to this size, and then because I like to trim it to the actual size that the block is going to be. Then I squat them so that they look like this and they're ready to be used. And I'll show you how I do that on this little mat. Then we are going to have two pieces like this that we are going to connect like that. So let me go ahead and get started and show you how I start doing this squirting that is so easy when you're getting ready to sew. So I print all my pieces, and then like I mentioned, I trim them, and this is like super easy with the same ruler that I'm gonna use. This is one that has not been yet squirted or marked, and this is like a little pad that I'm going to put a link below if you're interested in looking at that. So I get it, put it there, put it right on the line, and I press down, and then I put it on the other line and I press down, and then I just turn it, and I do that to every single one of them. That way when I get my little black, so this one is for the gray fabric. I have my little gray fabric here. Then I know I put it like this, and I have enough on all four sections. See? Then I put a little piece of glue, so then when you're going to sew on it, you turn it, you can leave it like this. Just put a little glue on it, not too much, so that you can take it off later, and you put it like this, like that. And now we're going to trim it. Put it on your little cutting mat, and we are going to be needing the added quarter because it needs to be a 1/4 inch. I'm going to put the templates, and if you want to cut them a little smaller, that's fine. I cut them a 1/2 inch bigger, so 1/4 inch on all sides. Okay, so now we have that cut. Then I open it up and I get my other piece. I'm going to show you how I cut all these pieces in a minute. Get my other piece, and I can see the position of this fabric. So in order, see, in order for me not to get confused, then it's like this. So I turn it and put it like this. Make sure that is enough on each end, and then I put a little glue right here so it won't move. But when you're in the sewing machine, if you have all this set up in the sewing machine, you really don't need the glue. That's because I'm going to transport it to the sewing machine. So then you have your little piece ready to be stitched, and we're going to stitch it on this line. I've already stitched right here, and this stitch is really tiny. I have it on one. Then we open it up You can press it at this point, or you can just finger press. Then we turn it, and since this is already squirted and you don't have to worry about it, you can fold it easily and then trim. And I'm going to be doing all this at the sewing machine. Then you get your other piece and you place it on the same position as this one, and then you just put it like this. A little glue on each side. Then we turn it and we stitch from here to here, back stitching here and here. I stitch right here and I have already pressed my little piece, and now I'm going to trim it. So this is not a lot of waste, but if you want it, if you don't want to have not even this much, you can trim it a little smaller. So to trim, I put my 1/4 inch right here. I'll show you how I do mine, because sometimes I don't cut the paper. Make sure that it's on. Okay, so I put it right here where my 1/4 inch is, over here and over here, and then I trim it, because sometimes the paper is too big or whatever, and I want all my blocks to be the same. So this little line has to be in the solid line. Then I go right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So when the line from your ruler and the line from your paper piecing become one, that's when you know you are aligning. This little line right here, the solid line. This one. That's not where you cut, that's where you align. Turn it. I'm gonna do the same thing. See right there, I cut a little paper, but my dotted line is still visible. After you have your gray one, then you bring in your black one and you align them like this. Turn them over and do a stitch all the way from the beginning to the end of the paper, right on this line. So come on now, from here all the way across. Then you will get a block that looks like this. We're gonna cut these pieces, and I'll show you how I cut, like the most efficient way for me. Cut a lot of pieces in one shot. So this is 2.5 inch strips. This is the gray one, this is the black one, and I have two. It's folded in half. So I put them right on top of each other. So now I'm gonna have 4. 2 of the gray and 2 of the black. And then I'm gonna cut 2, and that's going to be for that block. It's gonna be for the centerpiece. Then we're gonna cut the other pieces. This one over here. But anyway, for this one, 2.5, and then this little ruler is 6.5, and that's how big I'm gonna cut. Now I have 4 pieces. 2 of the black one and 2 of the gray one. See here, there we go. So this is just a strip that is 6 inches wide, and I have folded it, and I just put my little piece right here. Leave like about 1/4 inch on one side, and then a 1/4 inch on the other side. Trim. Now I have 2 pieces. Do the same thing over here, but just turn it. Now I have 2 more pieces. Turn it again. You can put more than 2 layers. So we're going to be needing quite a few. Keep turning it, that way you keep having a straight line over here. Just make it a little bit bigger than this template, which I'm going to also include in the pattern. The more layers you put, the faster you finish. Because we get 2 of each. I don't like making it too big, but a 1/4 inch is already big enough, so you don't get a lot of waste. So I have all my stuff right here, and I have this little cup where I put all my little scraps. I have all my things so that I can go ahead and do everything quickly. Put right here, a little glue on the back of the paper, adjust the paper. We already have that clipped. Come over here. Trim. Throw that away. And then this has to go like this. So then we put it like this. Make sure. Yes. See, when you're over here in the sewing machine, you don't have to put the glue, but it's always useful. Back stitch. Now we have this piece. Now we're going to turn this at a 1/4. Trim the other part, throw it in the cup. Now I have my other piece. They look like that. So we put it right here. Make sure they match. Make sure. Back stitch. And we already have one piece. It has fabric in all sizes. Then after we have all of them sewn like that, we are going to press them. They look super nice. And then we trim. Turn it. And we need to remember to cut on the dotted line, not on the solid line. On the dotted line. So I get this square ruler because it has the the quarter inch and quarter inch. So I put my little quarter inch here and here. Now we have a nice little piece. Another one. So now after we have our blacks and our gray, then we can start putting it together. We're gonna have a nice border. See if I can open up the camera so you can see it. And that's how our border is going to start to look when we start sewing it together. I like it. Okay, so we have the border sewn, but sometimes you're going to encounter, because of the way we stitch, that this little seam over here is a little bit bigger than the other one. This is the black one. They look pretty the same almost on the camera, but this is the black one and this one is the gray one. So when I'm sewing them together, I put a pile of black ones and a pile of gray ones on one side, on the other side. Sometimes these seams, one is bigger than the other one. Like right here, this one is just a tiny bit, little bit bigger. So I go and get another gray one and see if this one matches better. So, and you're always going to find that this one that couldn't match to this one is going to have a black one that will match perfectly, and that way you're going to have, you know, the perfect match for that one. See? It will match good over here and good over here, and that's when you're gonna put them together. And also when you're gonna match them together, make sure that they're like the same. See? That they're the same over here, and then they match down here too. The first ones I was doing, I was not paying a lot of attention to it, but you do have to pay attention so that way they have they match good. Let me see here, because if not, you're gonna find that, let's see, that they are not gonna match that well. So you want to make sure that this is the way that you have your seams. And sometimes they get out of whack, like this one. So just try to make sure that they are, you know, like that. That's one little tip. The other little tip I wanted to tell you is when you are putting it on your wall hanging, and let's say that this border, whichever one it is, whether it's on the top or the bottom border, and it's too long, then you can come over here and put some of the little stitch in the inside of your line. If the border is too short, then sew another little stitch a little bit in the outside, and then you can come and unstitch this one, and that will give it a little bit of space. So again, if this border that you're going to put is too short, then you're going to stitch outside closer, so your seam allowance, instead of being a 1/4 inch, you make it a scant 1/4 inch. Not on all of them, only until you can find the, you know, the perfect size. Because sometimes we don't sew exactly in the same place, and then that starts adding up or subtracting. So I found that I had to sew on 2 of mine. I had to sew like a scant 1/4 inch, and then come in here and rip this carefully, the inside stitch, and that opened it up and it made it fit perfectly. So that's something you can do if you see that you're having a problem with the border not matching your big project. So if you have any questions, just ask me in the comments. I'll see if I can help.